We just saw Falmouth and pointed straight towards it.
There's a shitload of rocks.
And there's a rock called August Rock.
Yeah.
And it was marked with a buoy because when we came in, we noted it. So I just assumed on the way out he would remember that. And he is a day skipper after all, so he should know. Anyway, he didn't. I was down getting below. Sorry, down below getting changed. We're under power doing about 5 knots, and then I felt a little dink. I was like, that's funny. Just popped my head up through the companionway, looked out, and I was expecting to see August Rock buoy out to the port side. As I looked, it was over on the starboard side, which meant we were between the land and the buoy on August Rock. The next thing, almighty crunch. It's like the boat went from 5 knots to like 0 pretty much straight away, just stopped. It's like shit. And then it all sort of dawned on me. I was like, oh no. Anyway, my mate was down there and he was like, Hosey, there's a lot of water down here. And I looked and it was, we put a hole in the side of the boat on the starboard side, under the water line, and the water was just welling up. So I went down and I was like, oh mate, no. Right, put out a mayday call. So we'd swapped helm at the time, so I was down there, someone else was helm. Said to Windy, I said, put out a mayday call. And he was like, mayday call, are you sure? I was like, mate, we're sinking. I don't know. I don't know what else it is. And he said, oh, all right then. So he puts out this mayday call. And in the meantime, I'm down below thinking, right, ripping stuff out, trying to find where this hole is. And the week before, I'd just done damage control at up in Portsmouth, so that where you get holes in ships and you've got to plug them and all that sort of stuff. And as I was doing it, this bit of cushion went floating past me. I was like, right, I'm having that. So I stuck that in the hole, stood on it, which sort of stemmed the flow a bit. And then we've got people bailing out with water, but the level's still coming up.
On the boat?
4 was on the boat. And then the next thing comes up to the engine level, and the engine stops. It's like, oh no. So we'd stemmed it, doing our best. Next thing, first people to arrive with the search and rescue from Culdrose, right? And I knew all of them. So I'm like, the last thing I need is to be rescued by the SAR from Culdrose. So it was like, so I'm waving them off. Anyway, they were videoing it all, right? Which comes in later. So next thing, lifeboat arrives, the inshore lifeboat from Falmouth. Starts trying to sort us out. Offshore lifeboat arrives. Long story short, put a pump on, pumped us out, put us on the side of the boat, and started towing us in. So, stabilised the situation. Got into Falmouth, and it was about maybe 10 o'clock by this time, so it was dark. And they said, right, what do you want to do with the boat? So I just want to get out of the water. So they said, well, there's a Navy HMS Enterprises in, so we'll give them a shout. Maybe you can put it in their davits or something. Keep out of the water and sort it tomorrow. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. But anyway, next thing I know, we were alongside HMS Enterprise, and they had the full bloody fire repair party on board. Softwood wedges for a 5-class boat, brilliant. There's a chief taking charge, and we were swamped by about 15 people running around the boat trying to take charge. And I was like, right, get off. Get them off the boat. I said to the lifeboat captain, I said, tell them to get off the boat. And they all sort of climbed back up their ladder with their tail between the legs. So the next option was to get the yacht sling from Pendennis Harbour. So the Copson lifeboat said, right, I've managed to get in touch with the driver. We can go there. And he said, the plan will be, I'll drive you along, and at some point, yet to be determined, we'll let go, and you'll just cruise into the strops, and we'll lift you out. Yeah. It's a brilliant idea. I said, how many times have you done that before? He went, never. So anyway, we do this evolution, we get into the strops, they put the strops under, but the aft strop, as it turns out, wasn't quite in the right place. So when they lifted it, they bent the prop of the boat.
We're on the,
so I had insult to injury. And then we got off, went to lifeboat station, had a coffee, job done.
just lift you up right
so
a minute, mate.
The end bit of the story, I go back the
I
next
morning. Mate, so I want to go out.
I go back the next morning to look at the boat, and the boat in the bloke in the boatyard, it's like, God, that was a night, wasn't it? I said, yeah, no, that was awful. He said, no, not you do the sinking bit, it's getting out of the water. I said, well, we left it in the strops. I said, yeah, but when you left, the SOP is to attach the crane to some cables. So that drives itself, it's also got safety cables on it. So if they didn't do that, they just drove it. And because it was, they thought it was a 10-ton boat, it was half full of water, so it's probably more like 20. It was a bit of a struggle, and they drove the crane off the tracks, so the whole crane was on its side. So we spent all night trying to get the crane back on the tracks. So that was a disaster. And then the following week was the emergency services cocktail party at Pendennis Castle, right? Which is, you can't quite see it now, but it looks out perfectly over August Rock. We're chatting away, and they said, "Oh, your guys had a bit of a do, didn't they, last week?" I said, "Yeah." I said, that was me. He said, "Well, do you know the funniest thing about it?" I said, "Oh, there's lots of funny things." He said, "No, when you press the radio to send out a mayday, it automatically sends out a distress message." And he said the distress message it sent out was Cornish air had been taken by pirates. So he said they looked out of their binoculars, and the only pirates they could see was the Helford River ferry, which was close to us trying to help. So they figured it wasn't that. And then the investigation, they asked the search and rescue crew, said, "Have you got any video footage from it?" And they went, no video footage. But turns out they did, but it was such poor quality because they were laughing so much. But the whole video was just shaking. Anyway, it got binned, so they never saw it again. And then, there you go, that's the end of the sinking.
Whose boat was it? Whose was it?
It belonged to the Navy. Yeah, that was it. You sink one boat.